We're looking for virality. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I think we're looking at Caitlin Clark's ad being one of the more viral things we've seen in a long time. Like if you look at the Instagram post on Nike, as far as I'm aware, the Instagram post has like 30 million.
Caitlin Clark's new Nike ad didn't just trend, it detonated. In less than 48 hours, the commercial ripped past 30 million views on Instagram, instantly becoming one of the most viral Nike drops ever. And while fans are celebrating, her rivals are quietly spiraling. Because every WNBA player watching this rollout knows one uncomfortable truth. The distance between Caitlin Clark and everyone else just widened overnight. What this ad exposes about the current power structure of women's basketball is ruthless.
And the fact is that this is only in 2 days. It is the 27th. The reality is that you could be looking at upwards of 40-50 million views on this post.
You know that feeling when someone in your own industry blows up so big it makes you question your place in the room? Drop a comment if you've felt that before. Because that's exactly the emotion spreading across the WNBA right now. As Caitlin Clark's Nike campaign floods timelines, dominates feeds, and hijacks the algorithm, other players are watching something they've never experienced themselves. True mainstream takeover.
Since Caitlin Clark's very first reveal, 22.4 million views. Between the Caitlin Clark logo reveal and this Caitlin Clark video, the only Instagram videos from Nike that have more views is a...
Let's be clear, this isn't just a successful ad. Caitlin Clark's Nike spot has turned into one of the most explosive sports marketing moments we've seen in years. Over 30 million views in 2 days on Nike's official Instagram page. Let that sink in. That's not typical endorsement traffic. That's not even elite athlete numbers. That's cultural phenomenon territory. Since Clark's logo reveal, the only Nike posts with more views were the Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani winning a championship, and Brazil's women's national soccer team hitting 100 million views. Read that again. Caitlin Clark isn't competing with WNBA peers. She's sharing space with World Series winners and Olympic icons. That gap isn't small. It's seismic.
Hey, Caitlin! Can you make it from there?
Hey, Caitlin, how about from here?
Come on, guys.
Yeah, she can't make it from there.
No chance.
Caitlin, from me, don't let.
You got it. I'm not even gonna ask.
Hey, Caitlin from here might be impressive. Am I right?
And here's the wildest part. This ad is only 2 days old. Just 2. Instagram alone has it at 30 million. And once you factor in YouTube, X, TikTok, and reposts across every platform, the total reach is likely pushing 50 million views already. That level of viral velocity for a product launch is almost unheard of. Nike has produced iconic campaigns before, but this one hits differently. It's escaping the basketball bubble entirely, pulling in casual fans, non-sports audiences, and people who don't even follow the WNBA. And that's what truly separates Caitlin Clark from the rest.
So right here.
From there!
From anywhere.
All right, well, looks like she...
Here's what makes this moment absolutely brutal for Caitlin Clark's rivals across the WNBA. And there's really no way to soften it. Nike's massive winning isn't for everyone campaign, a global push featuring multiple elite athletes across different sports, is sitting around 15 million views. Caitlin Clark's single shoe announcement ad doubled that number in less time. That alone tells you everything you need to know about where Nike believes the real value is. This isn't subtle. Nike is putting more promotional weight behind one young women's basketball player than it put behind campaigns stacked with established superstars. And you can't brush this off as Nike just being good at marketing. Yes, Nike knows how to create viral content. They release tons of it. Most of it doesn't come anywhere close to 30 million views in 48 hours. This ad didn't explode because of editing tricks or celebrity cameos alone. It exploded because Caitlin Clark brings an audience no other WNBA player currently has. That's not an opinion. That's measurable reality backed by hard engagement data. And here's the uncomfortable truth the rest of the league is being forced to confront in real time. Social media noise does not equal real-world impact. There are countless WNBA players with loud, passionate online followings. Fans who tweet non-stop, defend them in comment sections, create highlight edits, and run entire fan accounts in their name. On the surface, it looks like massive support. But when tip-off happens, a lot of those fans don't actually show up. The TV ratings don't match the digital enthusiasm. The arena seats stay empty. Caitlin Clark is the opposite case. Her online engagement directly converts into people watching games. When she plays, ratings spike. When she's injured or sidelined, viewership drops. That correlation is undeniable. People who follow Caitlin Clark don't just argue online. They tune in, buy tickets, and rearrange their schedules to watch her play basketball. That's the difference between performative fandom and real fandom, and that difference is worth hundreds of millions of dollars to leagues, broadcasters, and brands. Now here's the part that really has to sting if you're another WNBA player. Caitlin Clark was the one critics said was overhyped. The one accused of getting attention because of media narratives instead of pure basketball skill. The one people claimed benefited from favoritism, marketing bias, and non-stop coverage she didn't deserve. And yet, when you look at the numbers, she's the player whose fans actually watch basketball games. Meanwhile, some of the players who were supposed to be the league's true stars struggle to translate online presence into real viewership. Team USA played in half-empty arenas during the last Olympics. Half-empty, despite featuring the best women's basketball players in the world on the biggest possible stage. But the next time Caitlin Clark suits up for a major international competition, those venues are going to be packed. People are already talking about traveling just to see her play. That's what real star power looks like. The cultural relevance conversation makes this even more uncomfortable. Will Caitlin Clark ever be more culturally visible than she was in 2024? Probably not. That year was lightning in a bottle. She was everywhere. But here's the terrifying part for her rivals. Even if 2024 was her absolute peak, her current level of relevance is still higher than any women's basketball player has ever reached. She could decline significantly from that peak and still be the biggest star in the sport by a wide margin. That's the nightmare scenario for everyone else. They aren't competing with peak Caitlin Clark. They're competing with a version of her that supposedly passed her cultural high point, and she's still pulling 30 million views in 2 days on a shoe commercial. If this is the decline, what chance does anyone else realistically have of catching up? Nike's investment also sends a loud, unavoidable message to the rest of the league. Nike needs Caitlin Clark right now. The brand has been under pressure from competitors, and they've clearly identified Clark as someone who can move the needle commercially. They are not investing like this in other women's basketball players. The contrast is stark and public. Some players receive logos that get mocked online, while Clark gets a cinematic rollout with cultural heavyweights attached. Other WNBA players are grinding, posting constantly, building brands, engaging fans, trying to grow visibility. And then Caitlin Clark drops one ad and outperforms their entire year in 48 hours. That's demoralizing. That's the kind of moment that makes you question whether the game is even winnable. What makes it even more unsettling is that Caitlin Clark isn't winning because she's a social media savant. In fact, compared to her peers, she's relatively quiet online. Women's sports stars are often told their advantage is accessibility. More engagement, more vulnerability, more presence on platforms like Instagram and TikTok. That's supposed to level the playing field. And yet, Clark dominates without leaning into any of that. Her advantage isn't digital. It's basketball. People want to watch her play. Everything else flows from that. Interest on the court becomes engagement everywhere else. This ad also massively raises the stakes for the actual shoe release in spring 2026. Nike has set expectations sky high. If the shoe doesn't perform commercially, it'll be labeled a disappointment even if it sells well by normal standards. But if it delivers, if it sells out instantly and generates 9-figure revenue like some analysts predict, we're looking at a fundamental shift in women's sports endorsements. Other WNBA players have signature shoes. None have launched with this level of cultural gravity. None have featured this caliber of crossover appeal. The gap is so wide it's creating an entirely new tier, one where Caitlin Clark exists alone. Economically, the implications are massive. Clark reportedly accounted for 27% of the WNBA's total economic impact in 2024, while playing just 13 games due to injury. One player generating more than a quarter of the league's value is unprecedented. Add a 9-figure shoe launch to that, and the wealth gap is about to explode. That creates tension inside a league trying to push collective growth, because it's hard to maintain solidarity when one player is operating on a completely different financial planet. Internationally, the picture gets even bigger. Nike is positioning Clark as a global ambassador, not just a US star. That unlocks opportunities her rivals don't even have access to yet. And maybe the most frustrating part for everyone else? She's not trying to dominate the spotlight. She's just playing basketball. The market is responding. And the market has made its choice. Caitlin Clark's 30 million view Nike ad isn't just good marketing. It's proof that the gap between her and the rest of the WNBA is real, massive, and growing fast.